Hey everyone, it's Mike here and John, and today we're going to talk about 3 design solutions and what's right for you. Freelancers, what are freelancers? So freelancers are basically sole proprietors, people who operate independently of an establishment. Sometimes they could be specialists or they could be generalists or jack of all trades, if you would. So yeah, at one point in time, John and I were independent contractors and we were freelancing, just pulling any and all work that comes our way.
I think like in terms of when you would utilize a freelancer, it's like if you have a really low budget, I think it's really beneficial because I think individual freelancers are, generally speaking, much friendlier on the wallet. They tend to fill up their work week with multiple different clients. So sometimes they'll work in-house either at a firm or they'll have their own individual clients. And the main con, I would say, for a freelancer is because it's one single person and you're a client of that person, if they're sick or something like that, then basically you have no other...
You have a bottleneck.
You have a bottleneck and you have like no other alternative. And then also, at least in our industry with hardware, freelance is a little bit more difficult because to take a product to market, as we know, it's multidisciplinary. It's not just an industrial designer or it's not just a mechanical engineer. There's electrical engineer, firmware, sometimes neuroscientists involved. And so how does this person like mesh with the entirety of the team? Because I think product development's a team sport. And so sometimes if you're bringing someone in from the outside, like one single person, there's probably like a learning curve a little bit as well on how to integrate and process-wise.
When would it be appropriate to hire a freelancer versus, a larger team?
So we hire freelancers in particular, and we do it usually when there's specialist need, right? So if we are working on a very particular material research or something like that, where we need to dig very, very deep on something that we don't normally frequently do, and it's like, hey, we need, a sustainability expert for soft goods materials.
Yeah.
We would pull in, a particular expert for that.
Right.
But generally speaking, I think like firms do it pretty often.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're an individual client, I think unless you're very discerning and you understand what you really need for that product development, it can be kind of risky.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that it kind of boosts your capabilities, right, as an agency, if you have those resources available. Soft goods being one, electrical engineering, since that's something Hatchdo does not offer.
Parametric modeling also,
Sure.
right? Things that are highly specialized that I would say are not broadly always applicable at all. We may not need that person always in-house. Some of our in-house designers know at a pretty good high level on how to do those things, but when we need to go deep or we need like consultation, that's usually when freelancers
so deep expertise, I guess highly specialized areas of focus is when we would seek out freelance resources.
Yeah. What is a small design firm? I would define a small firm, Mike, as maybe like a boutique agency, a group or organization, 10 people or under. So it could be anywhere from 1 person to 10. 1 being a main, principal engineer designer who has a roster of freelancers. We know a few friends that do that. To, maybe a 10-person firm.
Like Hatch Duo?
Yeah, like Hatch Duo.
We would consider that a small firm.
Yeah. So that's what I would consider a small firm, basically by head count, more or less.
What are some of the pros of working with a small design firm?
So I think some of the pros of working with a smaller design firm is, generally speaking, you're going to have more senior level experience. Because of the size and scale that they need to be, they really don't have time for huge amounts of hierarchy. So generally speaking, I think the resources you're going to get are going to be relatively more senior and more experienced. I think boutique agencies, the ones that we know and then us ourselves looking at it from a personal experience, you're going to get to work more closely with the owners. The owners will also get to work more closely with the clients. So there's not as much of a, dare I say, transactional relationship. It's more like a, genuine relationship where the actual parties involved get to really know each other on a more personal business level. That's what I would say.
Okay. Another advantage, I think, with a small design firm is I think we're able to be more nimble, right? Because with a smaller group, with a smaller team size, and with the senior level experience, we're able to move the project and overcome a lot of the obstacles a lot quicker. Yeah.
Case in point would be like during COVID, I think a lot of our friends work at some of the larger firms and they're kind of laughing and saying they can't figure out how to use Slack and Miro And we were just laughing because
we've been using Slack since like 2013 or 14, right?
Yeah. So this is like even before the pandemic. But I think just even when new changes come, like if we wanted to try out like a metaverse office or something like that, we can make those changes like that. Whereas I think a larger organization, there's probably a lot more red tape to make internal changes. And, even as things as simple as getting on Slack, getting on,
There's a chain of command, right?
Yeah.
There's layers of management. Another advantage with working with a small firm is, especially if you're working on an NPI product or you're innovating on a certain industry, you're going to be making a lot of pivots. Yep. And having a nimble design firm to help you, or having a nimble team in general, is going to help you make those pivots a lot smoother.
To be flexible, essentially, right? Because I think, I've been on the other side hiring large agencies before being in-house, before my job previously. And we can agree, like a lot of times the large agencies have a hard time when you're like, hey, like now that we've discovered this, what do we do here? And usually they just hit you with like, this is out of scope, and it's 20 times more expensive.
One example is like you have a big cruise ship, right? That's trying to make a turn.
Yeah.
Versus, you're on a fishing boat trying to make a turn.
Yep.
So that's one way to imagine what that pivot could be like, working with a small versus a large design firm. What are some of the cons of working with a small design team?
There are no cons. Just kidding. No, I think there are some cons. I think there's definitely a threshold as to what types of problems these small firms can solve. I think when it gets to pretty high level, I would say in the heavy engineering problems, where even the size and scale of items, prototypes that we're trying to make, there's probably a certain facility past like what our size office, our size team cannot take on, and we firms like us, we recognize that, and we don't try to take on those types of things.
That's right. To that point, right, the scale of a project mainly is because we're limited on space, right, what we can build. We always try to build, we design in digital form, but we also build in physical form as well to make those validations and tests and assumptions. So space is a limitation, being that we're a smaller agency. We don't have as much space as some of the larger design firms who have a lot more space to build. Okay, now we mentioned, we have a more senior level experience, our senior level team. Yeah. Would you say that we are specialized in any specific area, or we generalize?
Yeah, I would definitely say like we're a little more specialized on certain aspects. I think smaller firms probably have a niche of like what is a good fit for them to serve, and it's less generalist, I would say. It's probably a little more generalist than the average one-person freelancer, that's for sure, because there's probably, like for us, we do engineering and we do industrial design, but it's maybe not as broad as, say, like a large business consulting firm with a design and engineering arm, right?
I'd say our team is quite special. We have a mixture of specialists and also generalists, and generalists who are specialists. Yeah. I think myself being one of them. Having those resources available makes the design process a lot easier, a lot smoother. What is a large design firm?
I would personally characterize a large design firm mainly by headcount and operations. So a company agency that has, anywhere from 20 to plus. And obviously there's like mega scale ones too, firms that we won't even name, but have made design firms kind of famous, right? Yeah. With how large they've gone.
In terms of personnel, would you say there's a mixture of high level, mid level, senior level resources?
Yeah, I would say there's multiple verticals of capabilities with multiple levels of seniority.
Expertise as well.
And expertise.
So a large design firm might have their own industrial designers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, firmware, software developers as well. Strategists, yeah. Here are some of the pros of a large design firm.
So some of the pros are that large design firms often, they've been around reputably for, sometimes 20 plus years or more. So in terms of their reputation and their clout and kind of the brand name of them is kind of what holds weight, as well as their ability to broadly cover a range of capabilities. It's kind of like a one-stop shop. But some of the cons, I would say, are one, if you're a startup in particular, I wouldn't necessarily recommend larger firms, because a lot of the bill and investment that you're paying probably goes to huge amounts of their your overhead, when you're considering percentage of like where that investment's going, it goes to, you know, a lot of the staff that probably aren't even part of that project, offices that you may not even be able to go into, things of that nature. So
who hires some of these large design firms? Are they more the Fortune companies?
Yeah,
I've seen some of the portfolios of the large design firms, none of which I mean, what I notice is that I don't see any startups. What I see are established companies.
Yeah, that's a good point. And a trend that I've been noticing is a lot of these larger design firms are getting eaten up by large consulting agencies. And I'm talking about like large business consulting agencies are acquiring them, or private equity. And I wonder why that is. Like, I don't necessarily think, you know, me as a designer and you as an engineer, I don't think we ever like start this thing to like exit necessarily. So I almost wonder if like the larger design firm is becoming less and less applicable, because generally I would say, like to your point, a lot of their clients tend to be large corporate clients with disposable budgets, you know, quarterly end of the year budgets. But now we're starting to see with companies such as Facebook, Meta, Google bringing designers and engineers in-house to create their own products. They have the capability now to, you know, take care of design and engineering by themselves. And so they don't need to basically utilize those budgets anymore on the large firms. So, you know, with that, like, I don't even know, like, in terms of like thinking about large design firms and what they're doing, I've even seen some design firms start to put out like educational programs to teach other designers on how to, you know, do things. And that's like a revenue stream for them, as opposed to actually serving clients as like their main source of income.
So I'll speak as an example, right? One feedback that I have heard from one of the prospects we spoke with is that, you know, they ended up hiring a large design firm, and later, you know, we talked to them again. We followed up with them after a few months, and, you know, one of the comments they made to us was, you know, they're actually feeding the beast. And what they mean by that is by hiring a larger design firm, it's going to cost a lot more because of the team size. There's a lot higher overhead. And unfortunately, as a client, you're paying for that. Versus if you're hiring a small firm, there's less overhead, right? And the biggest disparity is the cost of hiring a small design firm versus a large design firm.
So these were the 3 different types of design solutions that you could look at as a client. Now, to answer your question, though, which is the best solution for you, Mike?
I mean, it's the obvious choice, right? It's a small design firm, and you should always choose Hatch Duo.
But in all seriousness, I think it depends on the type of client you are. If you are a large corporate, you know, conglomerate, and you need, you know, heavy firepower, deep teams, and you like having that operational formality, I would say like a big firm is good for that. If you are a garage inventor and you have not raised funding before, it's maybe your first time, and you're not necessarily like raising serious funding just yet, and, you know, budget is a concern because you're bootstrapping, I would say a freelancer is a good fit.
Especially if you're self-funded, right?
Especially if you're self-funded, because it's pretty easy on the wallet. But I would say if you're a startup that's funded, Series A and before, anywhere in pre-seed to Series A, I would say, you know, a small design firm would be a pretty good fit because it has a balance of being able to take you all the way to where you need to go while being relatively moderately impactful on your budget. So those were the 3 types of design solutions and sizes and the fits that may work for you. Thanks for joining us on that. If you have any thoughts or comments, feel free to comment below. Feel free to subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of different kinds of content that we put out here about design, entrepreneurship, manufacturing, engineering.
Or if you have any ideas or if you have questions and you'd like to talk to one of us, feel free to shoot us an email at info@hatchduo.com. Otherwise, let's hatch awesome.